Hello and welcome to another Talking MotoGP. Finally, we're back. We missed out after the Assen race because myself and Don Free, we're very busy in the South African motorcycle industry at the moment.
Is that another word for lazy?
Kind of.
We forgot.
No, we literally, every time I phoned Don and said, "Can you do it?" He said, "No, I'm busy shooting for the bike show." And then he would say to me,
I've got, I started.
"You were building Lego."
I started Grand Theft Auto 5 again, which is a mistake, and I've been playing that non-stop for 2 weeks. I haven't eaten.
Okay. Okay, well, that's his excuse. My excuse is that I do have a magazine to run and I have a beautiful family, which I'm love more than life itself, but do keep me very busy. So let's catch up then with what happened at Assen and Sachsenring. So it's going to be a nice long show, but we're not going to really touch too much on the results. Everyone knows those. We're going to talk about a few little talking points. And Don, you've got an interesting little observation that you've made.
No, it's a theory. This is like literally tinfoil hat theories. It's absolute rubbish, but it's fun. Let's just go with it anyway. In the 90s, Mick Doohan was winning everything. And at that stage, you had to be on a Honda to win because the Yamahas and all of them just couldn't cut it. At that stage, they just couldn't cut it. Honda was just so far ahead. So Doohan realized at that stage that, hang on, the only people he's up against are his fellow Honda riders. So when they were doing testing, they brought out a new motor. They brought out two new motors for testing, a Big Bang and a Screamer. The Big Bang was very easy to drive. It was the better motor. But Doohan realized that with his sort of flat track Australian experience, he was better on the Screamer than all his sort of Japanese and European rivals on the Honda. So he actually pushed Honda to go for the Screamer, and he was the number one rider, and Honda went with it. He actually chose the worst motor so that he could beat his Honda rider. He knew he'd be better.
He knew how to handle it.
He knew his fellow Honda riders would struggle, and he would be better. So he sabotaged the Honda's development so he could win.
So what are you trying to say here?
No. Okay, this is, again, tinfoil hat. This is absolute rubbish, but it's fun. Let's do it. So, during testing, Crutchlow and Lorenzo were both off sick. They had bits of bone sticking out of their body, all that kind of stuff. And the testing wasn't done the development was done entirely by Marquez. And yet, if you speak to Crutchlow particularly, he says that this year's Honda is way more difficult to ride than last year's Honda. And it's actually worse. He prefers last year's Honda.
Whereas on the other side, Marquez says it's probably the best Honda.
No, Marquez literally has not actually said anything. When it comes to how the bike is, he just says good, but he doesn't make comparisons in that. But interestingly, the Honda's difficult in a way that Marquez likes it. You know what I mean? Or Marquez can handle it.
He can handle it, yes.
So the bike is more difficult to ride for the other riders, but he can handle that. And so you just kind of wonder, has Marquez not perhaps led the development of the bike, even slightly sabotaged it for his own benefit against the fellow Honda riders? He sabotaged Crutchlow and Lorenzo.
Because another side of that is, and another way you could look at it is that yes, he has, in a way, he's made the bike better for him to go faster, and he's doing it. I mean, he's running away with his championship. But if you just look at Nakagami's performances on the old bike, I mean, he's week in, week out beating or challenging Crutchlow. Okay, Lorenzo.
Well, except when he's now he's on Crutchlow's.
Yeah,
crutches. Sorry. Now he's on crutches, and even he's not totally rubbish.
But still, before that, I mean, Nakagami has never been a top 10 consistent MotoGP rider, and on the old bike, which is Marquez's championship-winning bike apparently from last year, Nakagami is all of a sudden you guarantee you put him in your top 10, you put him into Q2 straight away because he's that good.
You point out Pedrosa. I mean, before Marquez got there, Pedrosa was up front all the time.
Top 2 in the championship.
Marquez got there. They started developing the bike around Marquez, and Pedrosa just started slipping down.
Well, I know you say it's kind of let's have fun with it, but it's actually a really good theory. And another thing, before we even came into this, I wanted to talk about, Lorenzo completely destroyed his brand out. Lorenzo completely destroyed himself at Assen with another big crash, and he's out.
Yeah.
And people keep saying to me, is he going to retire? Are Honda going to sack him? And let me tell you, if Lorenzo doesn't retire, which I don't think he will, he'll be on that Honda seat next year again. Yeah. Because I honestly think Honda couldn't care less who they have as long as they have Marquez.
I would believe old Alberto Puig would say, yes, get rid of Lorenzo because Puig is a bit of a dick, quite frankly.
No, he is.
But Spanish. No, I'm telling you now, I mean, if we know Lorenzo, okay, he's shaken at the moment, but he's sitting there with his little back brace on and he's thinking to himself, how am I going to get back on that bike? How am I going to win on it? That is all he's thinking about right now. And because that is racer, that's just how they
I think the crash couldn't have come at a better time. I mean, there's no such thing as a good crash at any time. But now he's got this period to kind of relax, and he needs to recover that body. The problem is, after that big crash from Aragon last year on the Ducati, where he hurt himself, since then he has not been 100% fit.
No, he keeps crashing and he keeps hurting himself over. We have not seen a fit Lorenzo riding that Honda. And I mean, okay, people talk about retirement. I think he just needs to get better. I think he needs to take this year as kind of like a gap year in a way. Come back, carry on riding the Honda, think about developing it, thinking about your style.
Get proper testing in.
Forget about winning. He's not. Take your mind off winning. It doesn't matter now. Get ready for next year. That's what I think.
Yeah, he needs a proper testing. He didn't have any of that. He climbed onto the test, was going faster than
anyone. It's just a year of him adjusting his style, adjusting the bike, adjusting all that, and forgetting about where you're actually finishing in the race. That's what I think.
Okay, so there's the theory. You've heard it. Marc Marquez is sabotaging the Honda for everyone else.
My tinfoil hat.
But anyway, look, I mean, it was impressive. Take nothing away from the guy to win at Sachsenring 10 years in a row and do what he's doing.
The fact is he's able to sabotage it because he has the talent. He can ride the bike as it is now when the others cannot. And he knows he's got that. Just like Doohan could ride the Screamer. You know, he knows he can do it. So, I mean, this is not saying, you know, making excuses for the other riders. So it's strategy, Marquez. Well done.
They built a bike around.
The new Fireblade's going to be terrible.
Okay, so, I mean, the results. Let's talk quickly about Assen before we get into some other really big talking points. Vinales learned how to ride a 25 or 30 lap race.
Yeah. He learned that there's more to a weekend than practice and qualifying. That last bit at the end, you know, with his champagne and stuff, you know, where you got all lined up on the track. That's the important part, Vinales. Go on.
That's where you get your championship points. Then listen, he was on it from the whole weekend in Assen. Dominated the race. I didn't see it coming. And he made so many mistakes in that race. No, Super Breeze, it's ended. My lawyers told me not to be involved with it anymore because we actually have a girl leading ours.
We have a girl leading now.
Daleen Weber from Honda Eastern Mall is now leading ours by like 5 points.
Well done, Daleen. I like Daleen.
Listen, my lawyer has said it's another corrupt SA system. Get out of it. So.
And those little notes, texts that you were sending them.
You know what happens? We give them all the information on this show and then they go beat us. That's what happens.
No, what the hell?
But anyway, so Vinales made a lot of mistakes in that race. And actually, I was really surprised at Vinales. He came through. That was the Vinales. If Vinales can do that, that is going to be the biggest challenger to Marquez. If we can get that Vinales week in, week out in races. Because he went to Sachsenring and again was on it. Okay, not quite the same kind of pace. If Rins had stayed on, he would have finished third. But I mean, he got.
That is sort of a funny point. I mean, you have Rins, both Assen and.
I mean, the Suzuki never crashes. And Rins never crashes.
Does.
Now all of a sudden.
I would love to have seen what would have happened. I think we would have had possibly a Rins win and a Rins second.
I think Rins in Assen certainly was on for the win.
I still think that Suzuki. I mean, Vinales is showing for Vinales and Quartararo. Let's talk about him in a bit. You haven't written him down there.
I didn't even write him down. I'm sorry.
How did we not think about that? Anyway, but I still think, despite the form of Vinales and Quartararo, I still think that Suzuki is better.
Well, that's what's so frustrating now, is because Rins and that Suzuki package, you look what Jean Mere's doing on it. Jean Mere's also a rookie, climbed on that bike, and he's dicing with the Rossis and the Petrucci's and the Dovies and that. So it's such a pity he made those 2 mistakes and crashed out, because this championship could be a lot livelier. Because at the moment, before we get into Quartararo, Ducati kind of seem out of it a little bit. I mean, Petrucci and Dovi are second and third in the championship, but they're not challenging.
Well, yes and no, because Assen and Sachsenring are two very
bad tracks.
Circuits for them. I mean, coming up is Bruno, which is all that long uphills where Ducati. Then there's the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, Austria GP, where they dominate. Although the Honda is faster this year.
Yeah, it is, but I still think
Marquez is Honda.
Marquez's Honda is faster.
The debate.
But then there's Silverstone, all those, I mean, they're all good Ducati tracks.
Phillip Island and everything, yeah.
And even the Ducati people are saying, look, these are not great tracks for us. We're just going to take what we can. I do think they're slightly worse. I mean, remember there was that big dice last year at Assen where Marquez eventually won. The Ducatis were up there with the Yamahas and the Suzukis, and now they're not, which is a little bit worrying.
And Dovi's just saying that Ducati need to stop focusing on trying to beat Marquez and making the bike turn better. I didn't ever think there was a problem with turning on the bike. I just thought
Well, it is a stop-go machine. I mean, you go into the corner, stop, make a bit of a V.
But I didn't realise it was as bad as it is. I mean, Sachsenring, they were bad.
Well, that Petrucci was saying he got up behind some of the Yamahas and Suzukis. He just said he can't believe the corner speed that they can run. I mean, they're going into you go into the corner. This is what a Ducati corner looks like. I mean, Suzuki and Yamaha are kind of like that. Ducati's like that. You go in, you stop, you turn, point the bike in the right direction, and you open the throttle. And it's a problem like at Assen when there's a whole lot of kind of curvy bits and you've got to figure out how to make a whole lot of V's.
And you've got to be on the
geometry,
side of the
I mean, you've got to get into trigonometry, logarithms. It's mental.
It's too much for the Italians to work out. Before we get on to Quartararo, just one more note on Marquez. 66-degree lean angle.
Yeah, but that's
Sachsenring.
But that's part of the development of the bike.
That is ridiculous.
That is just this. As I say, this new bike. It was meant beginning of the year. Ironically, I mean, Honda kind of said they're building a bike more kind of front end friendly, sort of more going Lorenzo that can kind of more carry
flowy,
a little bit more flowy. And instead, they've got a bike that's even more kind of point and squirt.
Yeah.
As he said, the 66-degree. It's not because he wants to. It's because you have to. You have to. I mean, it was that
physically
long corner.
Force the thing, yeah.
You get in there. The thing does not turn mid corner. It tips in hard. But it doesn't turn. It's hard you go hard on the brakes, tip in hard, but you can't carry that mid corner speed. So what he has to do is he has to go into kind of get to a point, so almost stop the machine,
scrub it off,
dip it in like this hard, point in the right direction, get on the throttle. And again, it just means that the bike is like it was last year, but more so. That's what that sort of means.
And I think Mark is able to pull it off.
He's sabotaging it.
He's able to pull it off more because he's got the confidence to do it. I think the other guys just don't have the confidence to do that yet. So I like that theory. I don't think you're too far off with that, to be honest. But at the same time, why wouldn't Honda go with that route and just say, well, he's our blue-eyed boy, let's chuck everything at him. He's winning us races and championships.
You've got Alberto Puig who says to Lorenzo, wow, this is our motorbike, learn how to ride it, stop being a dick.
Well, that's the theory. And Lorenzo, unfortunately, has to now, like you said, take a step back, forget about winning, and try and mould himself into that Honda team and that package to make it work.
As I say, rest of the year, Lorenzo, you're not winning anything, doesn't matter, just learn.
Drink some of this, get better, get healthy, get fit, get some NPL nutrition.
The joys of NPL, BCAA, Ultra, catchy name.
No sugar. Right, let's move on to Quartararo. Let me tell you what makes this kid so impressive to me, other than, the pole positions and whatever. He rocks up to a Sachsenring. Never seen the track on a MotoGP bike. First session goes fastest. And up till the race, hardly ever crashes, and he's that fast. This kid is sensational. I did not see this coming.
The only thing about him now is, and he's a rookie, so we'll forgive him, he's got a little bit of Vinales temperament. I mean, he's
throws his toys out the cot.
He is. Throws the toys out the cot. That's true. He is also now the new champion of practice and qualifying. He's just got to figure out that, that bit at the end, that 25 or whatever, 30 laps at the end, that's the important bit. You've got to do well there.
Look, he's had the arm pump surgery. That apparently was holding him back. You could see at Sachsenring, and it was, again, a rookie mistake, you cannot turn a bike that tight through those right-handers. That's why no one else does it. And he put it down. But he still said in his interview afterwards he wanted to go at the front with Marquez.
Okay, here's an interesting thing about Quartararo. He keeps catching those tank slappers. He actually dislocated his shoulder at Sachsenring.
Did you see that? Was crazy.
It was just mad. And then he's catching tank slappers. He called tank slappers at Assen. It possibly cost him the race. And that, I think, is actually tied in to his arm pump.
Not holding onto the bars.
No. It's too much holding onto the bars.
Okay.
Because the fact is that a motorcycle, believe it or not, a motorcycle handles very well. It's that fleshy bit on top that keeps ruining everything. No, genuinely, 70% or 70% of handling problems are the rider, caused by the rider. And the fact that he's getting big arm pump here means he's holding those bars like
which is fighting the bike.
You don't need to. And a lot of tank slapper especially is when you're if you're hitting bumps and you're hitting all sorts of things, the bars and the suspension can deal with it. It'll straighten up. But when you're holding the bars
and you add into that,
that shock, instead of just gently going through the bars, it goes through your arms, down into the seat, into the whole, basically goes through the whole bike, and you get a tank slapper. That's what it is. So I just from knowing from racing and study racing, teaching people and that, people who hold onto the bars too tight, first of all, have handling problems. They catch tank slappers and they get on pump. So
he needs to relax a little bit more.
Stop holding the bars so tight. You don't need to.
And here's another little tip for you. The first thing that I know, off the subject of MotoGP quickly, but the first thing I tell riders when I go to track days and they try and go faster is, I climb on their bike, and the first thing, as I want to exit the pits, I nearly fall over the bike. They've got their steering dampers on flat out. Turn your steering damper down. You don't need more than 3 or 4 clicks on a steering damper. I don't care who or where you are. You ask any top rider, you run that steering damper off. Because again, it goes with that. If your steering damper's on and you're holding the bike, if it gets a tank slapper, gets it over and done with, it settles itself. If you've got that damper on hard or you holding on too tight, you are now adding to that resistance and the force of it. So turn your steering dampers down. Try it, and I promise you will go faster.
I think what Quartararo needs to do is get on a big adventure bike and go through like a desert. No, I'll tell you why, because that teaches you to chill out, because the bike's going to do stuff you're not comfortable with, but you just got to let it. And the more you fight it, the more you hit your head. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, very good point. Quartararo, again.
Yeah, by the way, we are busy telling MotoGP riders.
Yeah, right. Quartararo, are you
service
listening?
we offer. You know what I mean?
We've told you about the weight thing. You always need more weight. Now we're telling you how do you hold on to a bike.
They need us.
They do need us. We're going to be riding. We're going to be those guys. Let me tell you, it's not 100% official yet, although I wish I could. But Brad Binder is going to be in MotoGP next year. I think it's almost a done deal with Tech 3 KTM. So me and you are going to be that idiot standing in the background smiling behind the MotoGP.
They're going to show photos of like the rider coaches, the two of us standing next to the track and corner, scratching our chins, looking sagely.
Watching Brad. I'm gonna still get one of those caps made with like that says Brad's coach, maybe or something. I'm gonna do it. Brad, are you watching? I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna stand on the side of the track like this.
We're gonna do it. You got your 2 riding coaches set out. So sticking with Quartararo quickly, again, just so impressed with him. He climbs on a bike, he goes to a new track, and he's fastest in those practice sessions. Like I said, sort out his race a little bit. But big news kind of out of Sachsenring and from Assen is the demise, if you like, of Rossi. And my question to you now is a couple of things. Has age, which it all does, age catches up with all of us, has age now eventually caught up with Rossi, and he's got to that point where he's going, well, this is as fast as I can go. Not on the package that I want, but because let me tell you why.
Yeah. Okay.
In Sachsenring, Assen, he made a mistake. He took out Nakagami, and that was desperation trying to get to the front. Understandably, because he thought he had the pace to run top 3. Comes to Sachsenring, 2 of his best tracks, Assen and Sachsenring. He's got good records there. Comes into Sachsenring. Off the bat, straight away is quite fast. Then gets into qualifying, makes that mistake. I don't know what he was trying to do, but tucks the front end going into turn 1. Then in the race, also never really looked into it. He was held up by that group. He had more pace than the Petrucci's, the Dovies, the Rins, and everyone. But it wasn't the old Rossi where he was dive bombing and making those aggressive moves. He kind of looked like he was like, hang on, I need to now finish, and I don't have the pace. So my question to you is the age catching up, and could this be the end of Rossi's?
Maybe. Okay, there are some mitigating factors. For example, when you start getting old, you get slower because you get more careful.
Yes.
But yet we're seeing Rossi crashing more than he ever has. Okay, maybe it's down to the fact that his kind of sensors aren't quite as alert as they used to be. But if it were age, he would just be going slow. He would never be crashing, and he would just be going slow.
Yeah, he's still bouncing the top 7.
The likes of Pedrosa before he retired. I mean, he was just sitting.
He was cruising around.
He was cruising around. He never crashed. Never. The fact that he's crashing means he's trying hard.
He's still pushing. Yeah.
It kind of supports. I mean, and every time you speak to Rossi, he never kind of says, "Well, I'm just a bit crap." He sort of said, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel happy. This bike is not working for me. And it works for Vinales and them, but he just hasn't. That just means he just says he hasn't found a setup. And the fact that he's crashing would kind of support that theory that he's just not happy with it.
100%.
But at the same time, although it's been this way for a while, I've always kind of said if we had a 25-year-old Rossi up against the current Marquez, I mean Rossi, even with Yamaha problems, would a 2-wheel slid that Yamaha through every single corner until he beats Marquez. That is the type of rider he was. Which that sort of bit of fire, he's got pace, but that little bit of fire
is maybe just
sort
gone
out a bit. And
especially after the crashes.
I do kind of wonder. I mean, you look at him; he was not slow at Saxon. The fact is, he was just stuck behind a bunch of Ducatis. He said he chose the wrong rear tire, and he had no grip, which is bad because those Ducatis, you've got to get close to them to outbrake them.
And Sachsenring is
uphill. Yeah, and you can't get close to them to outbrake them because you're rear wheel sliding. I just think he was just sitting there going, I can't do anything.
Well, in that dice, it was Jack Miller, factory Ducati, Petrucci, Dovi. Okay, Rins kind of threw himself in and out, but Rins was doing what a Rossi would have done. I mean,
I can't say his name.
Juan Muir. So he was chucking it on the inside, but again, he also suffered with tyre and he also dropped off a little bit. that whole race, I kind of watched Rossi just sitting there, and like you said, he just couldn't get close enough to make the pass. But again, I think he just settled. He went, I've crashed.
Yeah, this is on the back of him taking out Nakagami.
Yeah,
so I
which
think
was a
he was
big-
also, that was sort of playing on his mind a little bit, like, okay, I want to overtake these people, but I also don't want to do anything stupid. I don't know. I think two things are going to happen now. We're either going to see Rossi get a lot better, or we're going to see him get a lot worse. And that's, I still
But do you think
it's
if it continues like this, do you think he will call it, or at the end of the year, or do you think
it's possible? Look, we've had a few people which we said. I mean, there are three at the moment. There's Rossi, who they said might retire this year because and that just depends. I mean, he hasn't said that he feels slow. He said he's got bike problems. Maybe who knows? He is the thing about Rossi, he's very sort of dependent on the setup of the machine.
Yes, yeah.
He's one of those kind of riders. He needs a bike set up well for him. And I don't think he quite has that. It's possible he doesn't have that. So either he's going to get faster or slower. The other one is people say Lorenzo is going to retire. And then they say Zarco is going to retire. And this means that people would have to break their contract because they're contracted until the end of next year.
And that's millions involved.
Yeah, here's the thing. Has that ever really happened?
No.
Has anyone ever actually broken? I mean, every single year we hear about, so-and-so's, I mean, even Rossi back in Ducati, people are like, Rossi's going to retire and he's going to break his contract and he's going to retire. We've been hearing that since
7 years later.
Yeah, we've been hearing that since 2011. So, yeah, let's see.
Moving on, there was one stupid rumor that I read, and if this comes true, I don't know what will happen, but there was an article that said Rossi's going to hand his factory ride to Quartararo and Rossi go onto a satellite bike.
Why?
That would never, ever in a million years happen. So, just if you've read that, personally,
I've got
a
better one for you. I'm going to become a Formula One driver.
And change the aesthetics of Formula One.
Lewis Hamilton is sick of it. He wants to just spend all his time wearing funny hats, and he's given the car to me. It's just as believable.
Take that. So anyway, we've squashed that rumor. I'm going to just touch on Zarco quickly. And I had a really good conversation with Shez Moraes while he was out here, and I said, what do you think about Zarco? Even Brad on the Moto2. And this is from a pure racist point of view. And this is why I like talking to a guy like Shez. He said to me, Rob, this is KTM. They have got gazillions, and I think you've also said it before. They have got gazillions. They will get it right. For Brad to jump ship from Moto2 onto a Calyx, whatever, you are going from billions and a massive development to a Calyx, which is working now, but in a couple of years' time it might not work, and they don't have the same resources behind them.
Yeah, it's true.
So again, Zarco and Brad.
Stefan, I can never say his name. Stefan Pereira.
The guy in a wheelchair.
No, that's Pit Byron.
Oh, that's Pit Byron.
No, the big boss.
Okay, the big
Stefan Pereira.
Who's out to
too many
destroy
R's.
Honda.
He's got too many R's in his name. He said that it took them 18 years to win AMA Supercross, and now they're cleaning up.
Now they dominate.
Now they're cleaning up. He says it took them a long time to win Dakar. Now they've won 18 in a row. He says, we will get it right. He says, we're not getting it right now, but we will. And when we get it right, we will clean up. And that's sort of what he said. And it's sort of track history, although it's all off-road.
Backs it up.
Yeah, sort of backs it up. So, I don't know, long-term game. Long game.
But that's why let's talk about this. Like I said, it's not official yet, but it is official as far as we know. Brad going to Tech 3 KTM.
Well, as I said, should he be on an uncompetitive Moto2 bike or an uncompetitive MotoGP bike? I'd go MotoGP rather, and at least kind of do the Jack Miller, where you kind of go in, start off at the bottom, and then just work your way up, build up.
Well, that's exactly what, speaking to both Brad and his dad Trevor, we can't say too much because there's off the record stuff in that, but it looks almost certain that Brad is going KTM MotoGP. The ultimate goal for any rider in that paddock is to get into MotoGP.
There were rumours actually that he was going to be testing at Bruno.
Which he did.
He
did. He has tested at Bruno. Again, can't say too much.
Rumors.
No,
okay,
he did test at Bruno.
See, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I'm going to keep saying stuff.
And it's hard because we talk between each other.
Dating Megan Fox. Go on, tell him.
No, that's not true. He's got his beautiful Courtney. He did test the KTM MotoGP bike. I'm pretty sure KTM are going to send out the release. So until that happens, we can't say too much. So look out on the Bike Show and Ride Fast pages and in the mag. Hopefully going to catch up with Brad when he's back and we can get all the inside scoop on that. But anyway, the ultimate aim for all these riders is to get into MotoGP. There's not like there's 50 million seats available in MotoGP. So people say, no, he must stay another year in Moto2. He's got to. Ultimately, again, with the little inside information that we had, Brad is contracted to KTM. Okay? this year and next year. So wherever KTM tells him to go, he has to go.
You know, like a boss. You know, I'm sure
That's
some
exactly
of you have
how
some
it
of
is.
those. We don't have bosses.
No, we don't have
We don't
bosses.
have bosses.
That's
but
why we
some
do our
of
own
you
thing.
have bosses, and they tell you what to do, and you listen.
So that's exactly
Yeah.
what's happened. KTM have said, well, Brad, we love you. We want you on our MotoGP team. Brad can say no for as long as he wants. He's got a contract with KTM, so they're placing him in that
I
tech
still
league.
say go there. You say,
agree.
you know,
I
I mean,
agree.
you don't accept it. Let's just say you don't accept it now. You get on, for example, a Kalex next year or whatever, and the season is a stuff up.
And those seats fill up.
You know, and then the end of next year, there's a whole lot of seats going, and they're going to go to other riders, and you're stuck in Moto2 for
And the
another 2
KTM
years.
package gets good.
You know, rather just go to MotoGP, get yourself in one of those seats, and then build from there.
Well, look at Jack Miller.
You know what I mean?
Jack Miller went into MotoGP, did nothing in a wet race, won it when no one else was
And
prepared
took
to
his
take
team
a
out
risk,
once.
and took his team out. But now Jack Miller is
Yeah.
an established name in MotoGP.
Exactly.
So getting to MotoGP, who knows? Brad could make that bike
Yeah.
miraculously
And 3
work.
years
Brad
from
is
now,
a
Brad is then late 20s, and then, sorry, you're too old.
and he's 20. He's 24 now, so he's not like he's ruining his career by going onto the KTM Tech 3
got
bike.
time.
Brad has a good history of developing bikes. Brad is a technician at note. He's like a Shez. He reminds me of a Shez. He'll come in and tell you that on the left front fork there's not enough preload by this millimeter.
Left front fork.
The left front fork. Yeah,
The left front fork.
Brad will come in and he'll do that. Shez is the exact same. Shez will come in and say the rear pressure is out by 0.0001, and true as God, the thing will be out by that much.
Yeah, they've got a very accurate tire pressure gauge.
Very, very accurate. It's called Ricky Moraes'
Yes.
hand. But anyway, I think Brad, it's exciting. Either way, we've got a South African in MotoGP, and he's going to make the best of it.
Yeah, I'm just thrilled. I don't care where he comes. There is a South African riding a MotoGP
Can you believe it?
bike.
When we go to MotoGP next year to the races, we're not now merely going as someone who knows a Moto2 ride.
Yeah,
we are going as someone that
It's not Rossi, it's the other class.
It's
you know, there's more.
MotoGP. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the
MotoGP.
pinnacle of motorsport.
Come on.
Any motorsport, it's the pinnacle of, and we've got a South African there. So, Brad, good luck.
And we're going to stand outside the track doing this.
Yeah, with our Brad's coach cap on.
Yes.
Let's talk about.
Can I just mention one more thing, just for fun? Okay, Moto E. Sorry.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
pretty cool. We had the first one ever. It was not. I mean, everyone could have electric this, but it was actually really.
It was
cool.
exciting
It was
stuff.
fun. Nicky Tooley won it. Nicky Tooley is an ex-teammate of Sheridan Moraes, a teammate whom Sheridan Moraes regularly beat.
Destroyed.
Yes. So, can you imagine Sheridan was on one of those bikes? How cool would that be?
Shez will tell you his biggest problem is his race career up till now is that he never had a management crew. And if he did, I think he would be on that bike. But Shez, you know, you've got contacts. I know you do.
Come on, make it happen.
WhatsApp,
Look,
Twitter, Britta, whatever you call it.
D'Angelis is going to put himself in hospital soon. Be ready for that ride.
And,
It's going to happen.
and Sete Gibernau is what, 50 years old?
53, yeah, but no, D'Angelis is going to end up
Crashing himself.
He's going to end up we just know he's going to be in an ambulance. It's going to happen.
So Shez climb onto a
Then there we
Moto E
go.
bike and destroy these
Yeah,
oaks and
come
win a
on,
world championship.
Okay, speaking of destroying stuff, Darren Binder.
Right, so Darren Binder, it's been an up and down season. At one stage we were saying, geez, we can finally put the words consistency with Darren. Well, we've thrown that out the window now. Again, he's got the pace. He's proved he's got the
I was
pace.
listening to BT Sport, and there they had Neil Hodgson. Or Dive Bomb Darren.
Dive bomb Darren. I like that because he's sensational.
No, I love the way, the commentators, when they talk about Darren Binder, I mean, if for another rider, you'll go, he was dirty.
Yeah.
They use the word entertaining.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
the thing is, okay, when you talk to Darren, he's the most chilled out, kind of laid back, kind of relaxed guy.
He'll buy you
He
a
gets-
Boerewors roll and a Coke. Yeah,
No
like,
problem.
nice guy.
He's so chilled out. He gets on the bike and he just...
Turns into the destroyer. He turns
So
into Dive Bomb
he
Darren.
is entertaining. Not for the people, you kind of go down the pit straight and you see your pit board behind you, Darren Binder, and your soul goes cold.
Hand
You know what
up.
I mean?
All of a
Hand
sudden
up,
you've
out
got
of the
spark
way.
plug problems.
So, yeah, for them it's not entertaining, but for us it's
Look, Sachsenring was so frustrating because the last lap, and he goes and he does that. It's pure desperation.
yeah.
But good news, I can tell you from some little inside scoops that we've got and
We're
little
gonna get
inside
in trouble
information.
for saying-
We might get
we're
into
gonna
trouble,
get into trouble,
but I
but
think
anyway.
it's going to come out in the press. Darren's got some
Pit Byron,
really...
don't watch this.
Yeah, no one for KTM watches. But Darren's got some really good potential offers for Moto2 next year, which I think is where he needs to be. I think Darren on a Moto2 bike, competitive bike, And it's been spoken about. There's these 3 options. I won't mention those 3 options, but there are 3 really good options going into Moto 2. So we could have Darren.
I look forward to that.
Stepping up into Moto 2
look
and
forward
dive bombing the likes of Alec Marquez and all those guys. And pulling zap signs at everyone there.
Oh, it'll be funny.
But look, that's really good for Darren because...
No, his problem now is that he's slowed down the straights because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's slowed down the straights.
And
so
he
the only way he
destroys
can
tires.
make up for it is just to brake really late and just dive bomb, literally dive bomb up the inside. That is the only way he can ride. It's because he's got no choice. On a Moto 2 machine, he won't have as much of a disadvantage.
Not at all.
So he can use some sort of ordinary riding, you know what I mean?
And people forget, I mean,
brilliant.
4 years ago now, Darren was on a Suzuki GSX-R600 in South African Nationals and running at the front end of races. So he knows how to ride big bikes. He can do it. He just needs to get on one now. So, Darren, if you're watching, let's hope that you do get onto one of those Moto 2 bikes. I think it would be ultra exciting. But either way.
And thanks for the entertainment.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you for making Moto 3 even more entertaining. It already is, but with Dive Bomb Darren there, keep doing what you're doing, but just with one more
try
lap
to
to
finish
go.
the race, you know what I mean? We like what you do, just check your flag. Check your flag. Let's see it.
So yeah, that's exciting news for South African riders with Brad and Darren. Brad potentially pretty much going to MotoGP, Darren potentially Moto 2, and Stephen Windal still there. So, and the likes of Aiden Liebenberg in Red Bull Rookies Cup picked up more points at the Assen round and did a good job in Sachsenring as well.
Maybe next year we got Binder in MotoGP, Darren in Moto 2, Aiden Liebenberg in Moto 3. How cool would that be?
And potentially Chris Wright, young Chris Wright. You know how fast Chris Wright is.
I know how fast Chris Wright
and he's
is.
already been pre-selected. One of 3 riders that have already been given their ticket to go to Red Bull Rookies Cup trials. So he doesn't have to apply. He doesn't have to hope that Chris Wright is going. That is how highly ranked that young man is.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to, I forgot his name now for a second, Peter Clifford. He's the head of the Red Bull Rookies. And they basically said, well, you know, the thing about him, we tested last year, is that he was very young. And he kind of said, yeah, but go over, you know, ride the bike, you know, get some experience, and then next year we want you. It's sort of like that.
And that's what happened. So up till now, Chris Wright has done short circuit racing on a little Honda CBR 150. He's now had almost he will have a full year on a Yamaha R3 in the Supersport 300 class in the Monaco series under his belt. He's leading that championship. So he's going into that Red Bull Rookies with a lot more
South
experience.
Africans in all 4 classes. No,
and me and you are going to be there as coaches.
And no way, Sheridan's going to take over when D'Angelo's puts himself in hospital. So we're going to have a South African in 5 classes. This is going to be excellent. Yes.
Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Grab the August issue of Ride Fast, which will come out the first week of August, because I've got a full rundown of all the South Africans racing overseas, and you will not believe how many of them there actually are in all the championships over there. So, Don, thanks very much for that. Think about that Honda Marquez thing and let us know what you guys think about that. But yeah, that is on there from Donovan. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch up with you. It's a nice little break now. Not really nice, but we're going to have to
Not nice for us.
It's that gardening and shaving dogs again that we're going to have to do. So until next time, we'll catch up with you later and keep well. So we've said goodbye,
yes,
but we are back.
We're back.
Because I've literally
breaking news.
just picked up my phone, and it's what is the time here now? It's 11:20.
Yes, on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. Brad Binder has just messaged me and said, "Hello, Uncle Rob." Not really his uncle,
polite,
but I'm an
uncle,
uncle.
Yeah.
The news.
You had that period where you were a bit,
I'm 37 years old and I've got to be I'm an uncle. News is going live at 2 p.m. today on signing for next year. Okay,
so we said that he's probably going to sign. We kind of knew we did actually. We know he was signing, but now
Brad Binder is Tech 3 KTM MotoGP. So that's how you end off a show. So
MotoGP.
Brad Binder in MotoGP. Could it get any better? Say it again.
MotoGP.
We'll end off on that note.